We've got ourselves a 40-pounder from Dolly Mill. I was hooked, excuse the cliche pun. As crazy it was, yeah, absolutely, mate, I'm in for the journey. And this is what the stock has to offer in Dolly Mill. Join me as we go behind the brand. So here we are, it's 2025. I'm sat on Dolly Mill Lake and I'm going to be going through my angling life, and sort of leading up to this point, I've really had to dig back through memories. And you know, we're going back possibly over 40 years ago. Yeah, definitely, it is over 40 years ago. And I'm going to look back at my angling life and what's actually occurred in that time to bring us through to the present day and me sat here now. So yeah, the early years. Now, currently there's this old guy looking back at the camera and spinning it all the way back to the start. Again, I've had to dig deep into the memory bank just to kind of actually recall all of the memories of how things started. And I've referenced this many times to many people that, you know, my opinion is that anglers aren't necessarily born. My belief is they have to be nurtured. And I refer to it as the significant other. You know, who is the person or people who actually introduce youngsters into our incredible sport? And for me, it came from probably an unlikely source because there were no anglers in my family. You know, did I stand out as a black sheep within the family? Yeah, I probably did. And the unlikely source actually came on a family holiday in North Wales, in a place called Abersoch. Some of you may know it. And it was always the thing during the summer holidays, I would go up to North Wales. And I remember on one particular occasion, my mother said to me, oh, we're going to go out on a boat fishing trip. And I'm kind of like, well, that just sounds pretty damn awesome. Fishing with feathers, with boat rods off the side of the boat, and then we'd go spinning for 20 minutes. And we caught loads, and I can absolutely guarantee it was that single instance within my life where it was on that day I became an angler, and inadvertently my mother had got me hooked, and that is absolutely how it all began. Okay, so we're probably in like 1989, 1990, and I've pestered my mum and dad. I want to go on holiday to Angler's Paradise in Devon, like so many of us have done. And that opened up opportunities for not to necessarily do big carp fishing, but just to be around big carp fishing. And I remember I'd fished on the Tench Lake, and I was catching, you know, bits and pieces on the float fishing lake, this, that, and the other. And I didn't really have any carp equipment at that point. And I remember like one afternoon, this was sort of probably later on in the week, I've gone for a little look on the Specimen Lake. And there were a couple of, I'd say these lads were maybe 15, 16 years old, and they were floater fishing on the Specimen Lake. Anyway, while I'm there, one of them's hooked and landed a 25-pounder. Well, it literally blew my mind. So I would say definitely my introduction to carp fishing, thankfully, yeah, was because of Angler's Paradise in Devon. So as things happen in your teenage years, you finish your A-levels, you go to university. So probably in that period, it was a bit of a gap from fishing in general. And then I remember when I graduated in 97 and moved back home from London after studying at Brunel University, it was like literally the desire was then, right, I want to get fishing again. Okay, so 2003, I'd become really good mates with John Bannister at this point. We were speaking most days, and he invited me on a trip near the Moselle in France to fish a little private lake, and this was sort of, I don't know, it must have been the end of November 2003. Whilst we were on this trip, you know, as you do, you're putting the world to rights, you're having a glass of wine, some nice food on the evening, catching a few nice French mirrors. And John proclaimed to me, I'm going to start my own carp fishing magazine. And I sort of looked at him slightly gone out, and I'm like, what are you on about? You know, you don't just start a carp fishing magazine. He's like, JB, I'm going to do it. I want to do my own magazine. And he's like, well, would you like to be involved? And I'm literally thinking, you're out of your head, man. You know, we can't do this. And I was like, well, as crazy it was, I was, yeah, absolutely, mate. I'm in for the ride. I'm in for the journey. And that was where the journey into actually bringing Carp Addict magazine as a newsstand magazine, and it became a reality. So we started doing work on it. And in August 2004, Carp Addict magazine appeared on the shelves. And I remember I was living in Ringwood in Hampshire at the time, and I went into my local R.S. McCall's store, and it literally took my breath away. You know, when like literally the hairs on your arms, like they're tingling. Our magazine was on the shelves, and I'd been part of that, and it was just an immense achievement. And really from that point on, that was my start into angling journalism and leading on to actually working full-time within the trade.
Oi, oi.
Oh my days. It's probably like 11:15 now. Literally I've got into bed about 10:30. Middle rod's busted off, and we've got ourselves a 40-pounder from Dolly Mill. Absolutely unreal. Proper battle, and yeah, I'm proper made up. So I'm going to get a couple of stills done, slip her back, and that rod is definitely going back out. And all being well, I'll see you again tonight, but if not, I'll be back in the morning. Happy days. So the start of my time working for the Trakker brand now, we're winding back now to October of 2012. And literally my first project as Trakker marketing manager was dealing with the Trakker rebrand. So we were moving from the old yellow Trakker squiggle to the branding which we've got in place today. So that was working with a design agency in London and effectively redeploying that new branded image across the whole business, websites, packaging, product, and all printed media, but also digital idents and stings and everything. So it literally, it followed all the way through. So in terms of like a first project, from a marketing manager's point of view, it was really a dream project. And then it was great to actually see it come to fruition. Now, within this time, I really knew that we needed to move things on. As I'd previously mentioned, other brands within the industry were actually hiring people to work on full-time media, and it was almost unheard of before. And it was at this point that I knew we needed to bring someone on board. And one of the first recruits I brought in was Gaz Hood, and he still works for us now to this day. And Gaz was brought in, literally produce media for the Trakker brand. So I'm thinking this would have been probably late 2013, 2014. So we're going back a little while. And it was just great to see the brand start to flourish. And within about 18 months of being in role, because of my sales account management background, there was an opportunity to actually combine the sales across the brand. So at that point it was Trakker, Signet and Aqua products. So then it became more of a sales and marketing role, which also coincided in August of 2014, was actually taking on full-time account managers for the first time in company history, because we'd always used sales agents and distributors primarily. So, you know, that was a big step on, and what it did, it gave us that foothold within our retailers to actually have that real one-to-one contact with people that were employed by the business. And, you know, genuinely through this time, it was probably one of the most enjoyable periods of my working career, because the brand was on the up. We had a great team of like-minded people, the bulk of them anglers, and it was literally like working with your best mates. And I include people like Sam Cheetham, John Walker, Alex Bransby, Matt Quibell. You know, what a great set of lads, and I apologise to anybody I've missed. Also Gaz within that as well. And then from there, it gave us a base for the brand to move on, and sort of moving closer to where the brand is now in 2025. So it's 8:45 now. Just having a quick coffee break after doing a bit about the early years. And I was up early this morning, like you do. And you know when you think, I should have had a bite on that rod, there's been a lot of fish down this bottom left-hand corner in Dolly, and they've been flopping about. Definitely the most activity that we've seen on the pond, and I just thought something's not right. So I cranked the rod in, literally just whipped it in, and I thought I'm going to put a pop-up rig out and literally just dot about 15 baits around it, rather than sort of like, you know, the finesse of like the balanced nut rig. That's just hung up in some weed now. So yeah, you know when you get a hunch, there's no point sat behind motionless rods, so it's like, come on, let's make it happen. Anyway, the rod's gone. So yeah, battle on. Let's go. Way to end that section. Again, it sounds cliche, but ringing the changes. You know when you think things just aren't quite right and you should have had a bite, and you change it, and then within 2 hours the rod goes, and you end up with a lovely mirror like this. £27, and this is what the stock has to offer in Dolly Mill. Absolutely awesome. So yeah, we'll slip this one back, and then we will talk a little bit more about my life at Cypher, and predominantly working for the Trakker brand. Awesome. Okay, so nearly 13 years into my journey working for the business. Now it's the longest time I've ever worked for a company, and genuinely there's been so much change through that period, and it's been genuinely a pleasure to be involved and to actually see people progressing within their roles. During my time with the company, yeah, I've done various roles, largely sort of on the commercial side, whether it be sales, marketing, and a bit of product. And the role I'm currently doing now, it really kind of knits all of our departments together. So whether it's from ops to finance, to product, to sales, to marketing, it's almost, I'm kind of greasing the gears in between and using my experience within the business to help wherever I can. And that does mean, you know, from day to day, I am wearing many different hats. And I've got to say, you know, the current period where we're in, the team that we've got, it's becoming, again, one of the most enjoyable periods of my working life. And I genuinely mean that. And I do need to be invested in what I do. It does have to count. It does need to mean something. And, you know, carp angling, sometimes it can be your best friend and also your worst enemy. And I know that's like, you know, that's a complete contrast. And there have been times when, as far as my own fishing goes, you kind of have to put it to the side for a little while, and it's not something you want to do. However, that burning passion within you it will come back at some point, and personally I found there's no point forcing it. If you're not keen and you don't want to go and do something else. You know, you can always come back into it. But certainly, thankfully, this year, after, a bit of a fallow period, may I say, I'm back out and fishing, and I'm really enjoying it. It's great. Well, the rod got redone after that last fish, and although it was quiet overnight, this one ramped off this morning. Yeah, to start off the morning in style. And what better way to lead us into actually why we're at this particular venue on this session. So slip it back, get cleaned up, and then we can move on with a bit of talking. So yeah, sat in the boat at Dolly Mill in Lincolnshire. Now, this place does hold a very fond place in my heart. It's actually owned by one of my very good friends, Richard, and those that you maybe know a little bit about Dolly will know that it was owned by the Hutchinson family, and you know, this was Rod's retreat, where he would actually come and, you know, enjoy social sessions with his mates, fishing along actually this bank that we're on now. Now, I've fished this venue probably maybe 4 or 5 times over 5 years, and there's always been a consistent theme. This lake, for whatever reason, whenever I've been here, it always makes you work for a bite, which I think that's probably the lure for me. Where it's a relatively small venue at 3 acres, but it's tricky, and even the newer stock of fish, which have complemented some of the existing stock, which have been in there many years, they don't give themselves up so easily. So the venue is a credit to Richard. He's done a fantastic job and a hell of a lot of work. And to have the option to come here to film this piece, I couldn't think of anywhere better where I would want to be. Now, on the topic of filming, now the filming angle was something that, if we roll back sort of 8 or 9 years ago, now some of you may have seen on Trakker's YouTube that I'd kind of started off doing a self-filmed, self-edited vlog style BullCam diaries, and we're going back a number of years now. And whilst I've not been out filming probably for 2 or 3 years now, what was really nice attending the consumer shows this winter just gone by, a number of people actually came up to me and said, "Oh, Jerry, we really enjoyed your videos. Why haven't you been, you haven't been doing them?" And it was an honest answer. I was like, "Well, I've not even really been fishing." But it's just so nice when actually people do take the time and they say, "Oh, we watched this when you went to, for example, Telats in France," and I think I did a couple of vlogs on sessions that panned out there, and thankfully on 2 of the sessions that I filmed, they ended up being red letter sessions with actually I think 4 different 60-pounders and various 50s. And that's the thing with some of these commercial fishing trips in France. Every dog has their day, and if you have a good week and you've got the camera with you, well, then you've got a film to put together, and sort of documenting it vlog style. It was something that I started because I wanted to do it, and my belief was if you had the passion to do it and you could actually be bothered to get the camera out and sort of learn how to edit and actually start putting videos together, that was really how it started for me. And I would say that to anybody who wants to have a go. You have to start with your first video, and you know what, your first attempts, they're probably not going to be that great, and I know mine weren't. They were appalling, but the more you do, the better you get. It's the same as anything. It's exactly the same as carp angling. So with that view, will I be out doing more filming in the future? I'd say absolutely yes. And the reason being, I think I'm keen again on my fishing, and that has been absent for some time. And if you've got an itch, you've got to scratch it. And I think the more you go, and certainly this session, as it's panned out so far, where the fishing is sort of secondary to what we're doing, but you're out on the bank doing what matters and what counts, and it all links back to work, and it all links back to the whole journey that I've been sharing with you, within this particular piece. So, the future, what does the future hold? Enjoyment. I think, as you approach your 50th birthday, I'm a bit longer in the tooth now than when my journey started, but I think it's being immersed in it and actually being part of something, being part of a team, and just seeing things improve, and actually, meeting you guys at the shows and people having positive things to say about the brand and the products and talking to you about fishing. It really is. It's a privilege, and I mean that genuinely. And I think I'd maybe lost that a little bit by perhaps being not as involved. So, yeah, I'm going to be more involved. Keep going with my own fishing. I've acquired over time, some big water kit, 2 boats, petrol outboard, and all the kit that I need to, tackle some of the big French public lakes. And I think that will be a challenge that I will relish in times coming up. So, who knows? We might have to get the BullCam rolling again, and yeah, enjoy the journey. So for now, BullCam out. What an amazing ender to what's been a superb session on Dolly Mill. I genuinely hope you've enjoyed listening to my musings and my life within the angling trade. And one thing's for sure, certainly this session has kind of kick-started my fishing again. I've not been doing a great deal, but sessions like this they just remind you of why you do it and why you love it. So yeah, I'll be getting back out on the bank pretty soon, that's for sure. Be seeing you.